"2025 was a big year for business in the UAE. New ideas, new policies, new opportunities, and a lot of momentum across the market. So today, we are doing something a little different. We are stepping back to reflect on the business stories that really shaped the year and sparked conversation across the country. We brought together three experts from very different backgrounds: leadership, business ownership, employee, and consumer, to give us a well rounded view of what we saw and felt during 2025. With me today is Faiza Khureshi, a dynamic professional in digital transformation and strategic partnership based in the UAE, Olga Pestova Pardo, co-founder and business development leader at Captain Animation Studio, where she helps brands tell their stories through creative animation and visual media, and Lewis Smith, a leading e-commerce and SEO strategist who helps brands grow traffic, conversation, and revenue through experts, Shopify, and organic search strategies. So this year we noticed a lot of trends on social media, one of them being Bare Minimum Monday and quiet quitting, which brought up lots of questions about leadership styles, expectations of the employees and team members. But what do you guys think? Are these trends or warning signs? Let's start with you, Faiza.
Yeah, no, really good question. I would say, in my opinion, it would be a combination of both. I would say that they are trends because they've been around for quite some time, but also warning signs to show that the market and the economy is really starting to shift. One thing that I would also keep in mind is that these aren't things that are specific to just one or two regions. It's kind of all over the globe across all the different continents.
You guys agree?
Yes, I don't think it's a generation clash. I think we are moving away from a hustle culture to the fact that we are on a digital leash, right? We have to be available all the time, checking the emails, responding to WhatsApp, sending documents. And we're sort of moving into a stage where we should constantly know it all because of AI. And there is a huge pressure on the younger generation as well. So yeah, for me, it's more of a warning, I guess.
For me, there's definitely a signal here for what's going on, global economy, of what is happening with the rise of AI and the challenges and the pressure putting on definitely youngsters, where it's almost this go to the hustle culture of creating freedom for yourself through work, but also the challenge of AI. So we've got one end of the scale where they'd be looking at what can I create in terms of a career for myself, but then AI is going to take my job. Can I just sit in a 9 to 5, or is that going to be taken by AI over the next 2 years, 36 months? So there's a constant challenge here, and I believe this is only going to get bigger.
Yeah. But if we talk about the bare minimum, let's say, Faiza, what do you think? Is this lack of motivation, or is it just a way, a coping mechanism?
So I think with terms like Bare Minimum Monday, it's a little tricky. And the reason that we even kind of have embraced the culture of Bare Minimum Mondays is because if you think about it, we've got a 2-day weekend, and during those 2 days, individuals are doing so many different things. They're running errands. They're also working on the side as well. So it's a combination of these different things. Whereas if you think about something maybe 100 years ago, the weekends were the weekends. There was no work. You were with your family. You weren't running errands. You were solely just focused on relaxing. And so the reason that we show up to work on Monday mornings and we're a little bit more exhausted and we're doing at the bare minimum is because of just the change in culture and the change in how we kind of function as a society.
Yeah, I believe also because many people have side hustles sometimes, and now with also the demands of the family and activities and FOMO, so many things to do around the city. So even the weekends are not weekends anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But how much do you think of this is the leadership responsibility to keep the team motivated?
I believe it's come a lot harder in terms of managing teams remotely. We're in this challenge of leaders almost trying to manage productivity, but also share goals as well on where the business is going and keep them goals very much alive, and keeping a full remote team, if we're working remote, motivated. So it's definitely a huge challenge, and definitely one that's become a lot harder, but I think leaders are really struggling now to keep them teams motivated.
But to you, what would be a motivated team? Like, what characteristics would they have?
Goals, clarity on where the business is going, why they're doing it, the culture within the business. So being part of that team it's harder when teams are remote, because you lose that culture side of it, but that has to be drilled in by the leader, and that culture has to be worked on even remotely, or else you lose that motivation, you lose that culture, and then people go to that relaxed Mondays of not wanting to work and looking for new opportunities and a better life and freedom, because they lose that motivation.
Right.
I think the other aspect to really think about is that when you're thinking about a motivated team, I think transparency plays a very big part in that. And so a lot of times there can be silos within a company. And so when these silos kind of occur within the organization, there's not really much transparency. And I mean, for me personally, like if I see where my progress is going and what my results are, it motivates me. That in itself motivates me. And so I'm sure that applies to teams as in general.
I agree.
Yeah. In our cases, in the creative industry, I think motivated team is the one that comes up with the initiative, with new ideas, generating as many ideas as possible, new concepts. So for us, is very, very important. So one thing that the leader should do is definitely plan the resources, right, and the workload of the team. And I think the responsibility of the team is basically being able to signal to the leader that sometimes they're simply overloaded, or they need some tools in order to have a better time management.
Yeah, I think in your industry it's very, very important to keep them highly motivated and flexible as well.
Yeah.
But you earlier mentioned also that it's maybe much more tougher on the younger generation. So can you elaborate on that? Like how have you seen that?
Let me give you an example. After the university, when I graduated, I was an intern in a company, and my responsibility was to file shipping documents. I was in a supply chain company, right? So I was doing it for 2 weeks.
Exciting job.
I'm super excited, Joe. And take a look at the interns now. They are, there's a huge pressure for them to know it all, right? Sometimes there is no proper onboarding. Because they have AI tools basically to learn everything by themselves.
Yeah, I understand your point. We brushed also briefly about remote working, and we remember this summer the government of Dubai and UAE as well, I think mostly Dubai and Ajman, they applied the work from home during the summertime because of the summer vacations and to ease traffic on the road. So many people reacted positively, I think, to this initiative. How have you seen this play out in your industries?
For me, remote. I've been working remote last 7 years, and personally, I prefer it. I've got a lot of experience working with teams across the globe. It comes with its challenges of motivation, results, but I believe that having KPIs that we're working towards and making sure teams are collaborating on that. Again, going back to leaders. It's a struggle, and I think productivity, you're going to have team members that lose that, and that's without a doubt with any business. However, with the rise of AI, if team members start losing productivity and they start losing their own work sort of flow, you lose that team member, you lose that person fast, and teams will lose through AI. So it's making sure that teams are proactive and you're working towards that bigger goal. It comes to leadership, it comes to processes. So there is a lot to take on board. So remote work is challenging, but with the right process, the right teams in place, you can achieve incredible things.
Why don't you?
Yeah, no, I think remote work, it definitely has its pros and cons. So I'm from the States, and when I first started working, I was in the office for about 1 year and then went remote. I was working for IBM at the time. And to be honest with you, I absolutely hated being remote. And the reason is because I was pretty fresh out of college. I had only worked for about a year. I wanted to meet new people. I wanted to be in the office. I wanted to see what that environment looked like, and I wasn't able to really have that opportunity. But then after about 2 years, I started going into the office, and it was a lot easier. And then I would say now, so coming to Dubai, it's been about 6 or 7 years since then, I kind of worked in like a hybrid role. And I would say, for me personally, the productivity has definitely increased. Sometimes I go into the office and I end up chit-chatting for like 30 minutes. And if I was at home, I wouldn't have anyone to chit-chat with. I'd just be focused at my desk. So there's definitely that sense of like lost productivity. However, with that being said, there's also the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Where you're at home and you're not really as productive as you would be in the office. But like you said, Lewis, I think that really like having KPIs and metrics plays a really big part into that.
Yeah.
And so in order to really measure that productivity, you have to measure the output of what that employee is really delivering. And so if they're meeting KPIs, they're meeting metrics, and they're still putting in their work, I really don't think that there's an issue working remotely.
Right. What about you guys in the creative?
The creative, our job is very seasonal. So we work a lot with exhibition and events, which is you have a very high season between November and let's say and April. So this summer, for example, we did work remotely in July, and in August all of us went on holidays because basically all our corporate clients are on holidays as well, and the decision makers are away. So I think it's a response of the government to what the companies are doing already.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this because it makes me look like a micromanager, but one of the things I don't like about working remotely is that sometimes I need some immediate discussion or a response from a teammate, so I can just directly go to their desk and ask them. But when you're working remotely, you can't do that. So
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point, I would say. And so like, I'll tell you a little story. My manager is actually not based here. He's based in Egypt. And so he comes in, I would say maybe once a month or once every other month. And I've noticed that when he's here in Dubai and we're both in the office together, for that week or 2 weeks, like I am insanely productive. And it's because if I have any questions, I can just walk up to him. We can meet in person more often. And so there's definitely that aspect of like not being able to get things done in a timely manner because of the distance between people.
nice. So I'm a good influence on my team, right?
Very.
That's good to know. But what happens when this becomes an expectation? They expect to work remotely. Would that be okay with you guys?
I think that when it becomes an expectation, it's kind of tricky, right? Because there are some people who they want to work remote and they have solid reasons. Maybe they don't have caretakers for their kids at home. Maybe that's something they have to think about. Maybe they just have other obligations that they also have to tend to. And so it's warranted that it becomes an expectation. However, it kind of becomes, we kind of drive away from it being a privilege, right? Because back in the day, there was no work from home. And if you did have the ability to work from home, that was a very big privilege. And so it ends up turning from just being a privilege of working from home to becoming that expectation. And at that point in time, it may be taken advantage of.
For me, I'm opposite end of that, where I feel like my productivity 10x is when I'm working from home because I'm remote. And it comes to a trust factor of businesses to allow them people to be remote. For me, when I used to work in offices, it was, Lewis, can you have a look at this? Can you have a look at this? Every 30 minutes. And as we know, you lose, I can't remember the time, but every time you stop your workflow, it takes you like 45 minutes to get back into that state of flow. So constantly people on your desk asking you to do things, you're just going to ruin their productivity. So for me, it works a lot better, but you've got to trust the employee or your team member to make sure they're actually being productive at home, which is what this conversation is about.
Yeah. I think for us, once if we're pitching for a project and we need to generate idea and concept, it is very important that we are all at the same place. and we are doing that brainstorming session together. I mean, it will never work if we are in different locations. Once everything is aligned, we have the storyboard in place, and we just execute the project, then I guess it would work, because the expectations are very clear from the team.
But let's say if there's two options of flexible or work from home options. One being you get a certain number of days per week that you can work from home, or it's a seasonal thing. Depends on whether it's a summer vacation, or there's like lots of traffic. Which one would you vote for? Let's start with you, Olga.
I think for us, definitely seasonal, because it depends on the exhibition, on the events. So summer for us is very low season, and we prefer to give our team a break, and that's in that case, yeah.
Lewis?
For me, definitely work from home. Build the culture. Here's the bigger goals. Here's what we want to achieve today. We clock on at 9, collaborate on the goals, and let's all continue with the day and work towards them.
Nice.
I think I would actually like a combination of both. So I agree with you, Olga, in terms of like the seasonal aspect, especially here in Dubai. No one wants to be here in the middle of July or in the middle of August. And so having that seasonal concept of working from home would be kind of nice, because then you can go work remote, go to another country where the weather is a little bit more pleasant. However, with that being said, I think it would also be nice to have like a few days working from home per week, right? So maybe having Mondays or Fridays. So me personally, like on Fridays, I like to kind of wrap up the week. I like to be really focused on what I have to get done. That way I can also plan for the following week. If I'm in the office, there's a lot of chit chat going on. We're out getting lunch. And then I notice that I get home in the evening and I haven't really completed everything I wanted to get done. So I think, personally speaking, having a combination of both would be really nice.
So another topic which was trending this year in the UAE, which is the expansion of non-oil related businesses in the UAE. There's high focus on these kind of businesses, and guys being from industries that are non-oil related, have you seen that increase happen in the UAE?
I'll start. E-commerce absolutely exploding across the UAE. I think it's 30% year-on-year growth. Cross-border selling. So I've come over to Dubai for one of them reasons, to be involved in that. But yeah, e-commerce, I believe the payment gateway was a lot trickier, even just a few years ago. So it's different from like how the UK, the US, Europe sell, but that's got a lot better, faster. And it's absolute explosion. The rise of Shopify as a CMS platform over here is climbing very fast as well. So a lot of investors, it's attracting e-commerce brands to invest here. Also investors coming over here to be a piece of that pie as well. So it's exciting times, and it's only growing a lot faster as well.
Okay, nice.
We've seen a lot of AI companies, fintech companies, companies generating content, and that's all apart from real estate companies, right? That there are a lot on the market as well. There are a lot of marketing agencies coming in, creative agency, a lot of animation studios. Maybe 4 years ago, there was not a single animation studio, and the market is very competitive. I believe that there is almost 77% of the whole GDP is coming from non-oil industries in Dubai.
I agree with you. When I started working in 2010, I wanted to create a simple poster for like safety instructions, riding instructions. It was impossible to find a company here in Dubai. But now, mashallah, they have so many options. Yeah. What about you, Faiza?
Yeah, no, I think that Olga and Lewis both really like hit the nail on the head with their answers. So I think in addition, AI is definitely really big. It's been top of mind for us, especially this year in the UAE. But I think something that we tend to kind of forget about is the concept of tourism. I think tourism is super big, especially in Dubai, in our own city that we live in. If it wasn't for tourism, Dubai really wouldn't be what it is. And especially what we're starting to see with like Vision 2030 in Saudi as well, it's very dependent on not just technology, not just AI, real estate, but also tourism. And so that's, I think, a really good point to just kind of throw out there.
There's 2 million companies, I believe, by 2030 that they want registered in the UAE.
Yeah.
Wow.
One that's rising a sector is social and healthcare, just because of the rise of population here that's coming in very fast.
Yeah.
But do you feel that there might be any risk of having such accelerated growth of non-oil related industries?
I believe there'll be a risk of productivity keeping up with the rate of hiring, just because of how fast hiring is happening. So productivity, I do believe, will hit a sort of flat line is where it's at until that slows down. But at the moment, there's no signs of that slowing down anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys face the same issue in the creative industry, finding talent for this growing business?
Look, we are sort of in a salary war with other agencies. There are talents there, but there are bigger agencies and corporations that can offer talents much better salaries in the end of the day. We do have very good animators in-house, but I need to really every single day to check on them, check everything is okay, hope that they are motivated and join. Otherwise, for them it's very easy to change companies.
Yeah. It might create some healthy competition maybe, of trying to retain these employees.
Definitely it will, right? But for example, for a small business like ours, it's a challenge to keep talents. Yeah.
Do you find that innovation has to play a key role now of sharing that vision within your business? It seems like innovation is the exciting part because of AI.
Yeah, we use, for example, we use a lot AI. It reduces our production time, so we take less time to deliver the projects basically. And what we try to do is, and I think this is what so far is attracting talents to a studio, is that at this point of time we are our strategy is to retain the clients, so we don't take a lot of projects at the same time. We use the time that we save with AI to invest more time into a project and have more creative concepts. And that's what the team likes,
Interesting.
Yeah, no, I think that is really interesting. Something else to keep in mind, like when it comes to scaling in any country, I think we also have to keep going back to quality over quantity. And so like, I know there's the idea that like we may not be able to keep up, especially when it comes to hiring, like you mentioned, Lewis. But then we don't want the quality to really be disturbed in any way as well. And so with all these companies that may be coming in and all these companies that are being established here in Dubai and the UAE in general, or even the Middle East as a whole, I think what's important is to keep up the standard that we've got for the companies and keep up the quality rather than just focusing on the quantity of how many companies we have here.
But you mentioned your company has an arm, I think, or a division in Egypt.
Yeah.
So have you seen any shift between employees from these divisions, or not just an addition from the outside? Or?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So for my company specifically that I'm working for, Clouds Lab, I haven't seen a shift. They actually originated back in Egypt. So they're headquartered in Egypt, started there. And then about 4 or 5 years after being around, they actually moved into the Middle East. And so for me personally, and what I've seen, I haven't seen a shift. I also have noticed that both of the offices work pretty closely together. So we're kind of always in communication with each other. We know each other. There are a lot of individuals that will fly in here. People from here will fly to Egypt. And so for us, no, I haven't seen a shift. But for other companies, I'm not quite sure.
Interesting. Another thing that happened this year also, which plays along with the same topic, is that the UAE pledges to be the startup capital of the world and to reach 2 million registered companies by 2031. So here, I mean, I love startups. They bring fresh perspective to the industry. But do you think it would be sustainable growth, a productive growth, or would it be just a growth for the sake of it?
I think, so I'll tie it back to quality over quantity. I think that sustainable, yes, for sure, because what these startup founders are really bringing to fruition is absolutely phenomenal. These are things that haven't been heard of before. So it's really nice to see. And I think that there is also that idea of everything and everyone being very sustainable to the best of their abilities. So I think that sustainable, yes, but I think that there also is that concept of the market becoming saturated at some point in time. And so just making sure that like they're becoming not just startups, but scale ups and continuing to scale, not just starting for the sake of it, but also really just growing the company into something bigger and better.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's an exciting place to be in the UAE, and a lot of investors, startups are coming over here. But like you mentioned, I do believe there'll be a saturated point where we'll get to, and there'll be a lot of companies that will drop off, or maybe have to change, adapt, etc. But yeah, I do believe it's just that exciting stage at the moment, but it will become saturated. With every new startup, there has to be a market to deliver to. So there's only so much customers and market that we can build into, but there will hit a point where it flatlines, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think government has done a lot of work for the past years, eliminating barriers to entry, right? There are a lot of initiatives, zero bureaucracy, Future 100, 10 years, visa, golden visa for the talents, a lot of initiatives. So it's very easy to come and set up the company here, right? So a lot of companies come in, a lot of startups come in, and I think at some point of time it will have to be a natural selection, right? It's a survivors of the fittest in the end of the day, but this is a very natural process. I mean, for a tech company, 70 to 80% usually fail within the first 2 years.
Yeah, as you mentioned, statistically, they have a very low chance of survival. Being a startup, but
they will still bring talents, they will still bring knowledge, right? So I think it's a good thing, definitely.
But if someone's listening to this conversation, someone who's thinking of starting a startup or has started recently, what bottlenecks do you think they should plan to overcome?
I would say, okay, so this answer is actually top of mind because I just had a phone call with one of my founder friends based in the States. And we were talking about his biggest bottleneck right now, and it's the kind of the challenge between deciding if the startup is going to be client funded or if it's going to be investment funded. And so, you know, there's two different ideas that you could go after, and there's the investor side where you can like pitch to investors, you can really do your due diligence and do that for 6 to 9 months and hope and pray that you get funding. Or you can go after customers. And so I think it's like whichever route you want to go down, you have to make that decision and then you just kind of have to stick to it. I would say like a sub bottleneck that actually comes off of that is that founders will start with the idea of being investor funded, and then they'll eventually shift after 2 or 3 months of not getting funding, and now they want to be client funded instead. And so it's important to just like pick a route and kind of just go with it.
Nice.
Yeah, for my company back in the UK, we went without the investor and just built it from the ground up. So it's a good point on that where it's choosing, and I think that's the biggest issue out here is choosing, do we go with investors or do we not? And with the rise of companies and AI, I feel like you've got to act fast or you just risk breaking the company before it's even started. So it's choosing the right path and making sure that the cash flow is there, or else you're just going to fall down.
Right.
Yeah. I think the first reason for startup to fail is no market need, right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
No market needs, running out of the capital, no good team. So I think as a founder of startup, this is something that you need to think about, especially the market need. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In my case, to be honest, I think it's also one of the bottlenecks is the structure or the responsibilities, job descriptions because being a startup, you do everything.
You do everything. Yeah.
And then slowly, you need to structure it properly, and there things get a bit muddy. Yeah.
One of the key points on that as well is talent, of bringing talent in, but talent leaving as well for other companies, or talent starting their own business just because of how much opportunity there is out here. So it's having that right team in place from day one that's going to be committed to the goal of building the business and not just in to get a quick payday or risk losing them to other businesses or competitors.
But I think that's a difficulty in itself, like finding the right team, right? Like how do you can kind of go with people that you've worked with, go with people who are your friends, maybe even family. But then like you said, there's also that risk of like them just kind of branching off and starting their own thing. I think at the end of the day with startup, it's just there are pros and cons to everything, and it's just
Yeah.
one of the cons that you have to kind of maneuver around.
And if you work with family or friends, they will have some expectations.
Yeah.
and then
Absolutely.
it will be difficult to boss them around as well.
Stock and equity.
It's been fast as well. The key thing to our growth of our business is just being fast. Come up with an idea, test it, fail, move forward. I think a lot of businesses. I work with e-commerce brands, and teams will come up with ideas and it'll just stay stagnant. And we have to test it, or else we're just going to lose the idea, miss the opportunity, and competitors will take over.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you guys worked in markets in the UAE and markets other than the UAE.
Yeah.
So if someone is working in the UAE, what would you advise them? What skills they have to learn or maybe unlearn?
I think for me, so I'm speaking from the point of view as someone who's worked in the States and then also worked here in the UAE. And to Lewis's point, just be fast. Be fast with whatever you want to do. If that means you want to schedule a meeting, do it today. If you're trying to reach out to someone on LinkedIn, go ahead and send them that message as soon as you think about the idea. The thing is, if you wait, and I mean, I'm guilty of this too, like there are just certain opportunities that I've kind of waited on, certain people that I've wanted to connect with, and I've kind of waited or postponed it, and then it kind of slips away. The opportunity slips away.
Mm-hmm.
And so just being quick and being very just on your feet and ready to go at any point in time.
Communication is a big part of that as well. I've been in that room and I've seen what happens if we're not quick, and what happens if we don't. Like I say, is send the message, get that action plan in, get that task in, and let's just get it done. Or else it's not going to happen, and there's brands still stuck in that, and nothing moves forward. They just get stuck in the workflow, the daily. They're not seeing the bigger picture outside the box. And if we're not doing that quick now, again, AI's here, innovation is happening, and we'll lose out to that technology that's coming in day by day, and it's just getting faster. If we don't react to that, we'll lose.
It is overwhelming. I mean, I don't have a startup, but just working the full-time job,
Yeah.
you have so much information and so many things to do and think about. You just suddenly realize the day is over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also like so much competition in this market, not just within the workspace, but I would say within everything, within the market as a whole, within the region as a whole. There's so much competition. And I mean, you can look at it as a challenge, or you can think of it as kind of like motivation to continue to do better and better. And so that's how I look at it, right? If I see that there's someone out there that's doing something better, or someone that's, I look at them as kind of a motivation, kind of like someone who's super dedicated to what they're doing, and I want to be more like that.
I attended the Bridge event the other week in Abu Dhabi, and the tech that's just happening, the innovation inside, there's a lot going on, and it's exciting. But on the flip side, you'll get businesses that look for innovation for the sake of innovation and just get caught up in the daily. We need AI, and what for?
Some of them don't know what AI
Yeah,
is.
they just want it. It's like, yeah.
I believe also because the government of Abu Dhabi and the UAE, they focus a lot on the AI. I mean, I know people are scared of losing their job, but AI is an important part of our future, and we have to accept it. They need to empower the new generation with these tools, with these services, whether it's like 3D printing, equipment, and so on, so that they can catch up with what's happening in the world.
Absolutely. And this goes back to school now. So one of the talks I watched at the Bridge event was, okay, what do we start children with? What opportunities can we give them at an early age? We don't want our students just to be relying on AI now in schools and just using ChatGPT to give all the answers in learning. We need to teach them real life skills, critical thinking, and be able to become decision makers. And that's how they're going to stay ahead with AI. So AI is getting more powerful. It's empowering teams, empowering businesses, but it's an exciting opportunity. And I think those that have become critical thinkers, and for myself anyway, I'm looking at, okay, how can I perfect my skills? How can I get better? How can I make sure that I'm growing with AI and it's not outgrowing me and replacing me? And that's one of the key things that we have to look at now. So it's exciting for businesses, it's exciting for healthcare, but we still have to be decision makers. And I think that's something that we all have to learn now.
Yeah, I love what you said about the AI, that it becomes a part of us, that it empowers us, not controls us.
Yeah.
I think that's really important with you guys in the creative industry.
It's super important. For us, we use a lot AI as an assistant, but there is a lot of pressure. Let me give you an example. I received a call from creative agency. They want a storyboard in 4 days for a corporate video of energy company. Something like this was taken before 4 weeks. You are supposed to do the research, understand the strategy, create a concept, write the script, create a visual storyboard, and now we have 5 days to do it. So we definitely use a lot of AI, but it's very tricky because if we use it more than a certain percentage, we become just like anyone else.
Yeah.
Because it's a copy-paste style.
Yeah.
I think sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was just going to say, I think that's where like automation versus augmentation really comes in. And so it's tricky to fall into the trap of just like solely depending on AI and just letting it do its thing. But that would be considered the automation side. Whereas if you use it correctly and you're using it more focused on the augmentation side of things, like you said, Olga, it's there to help you, but you can't be fully dependent on it no matter what your job is. For us in the TED space as well, I mean, yeah, we use it. We use it to help craft emails. We use it to help craft proposals and scope of works. However, we can't just say, oh, do this for me. You know, you have to kind of like use different parts of it to kind of put your final thoughts together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, to become the final decision maker, to say, you know, we've created this project, the AI's done all the work, the design, the creativity, and then it falls down to who decides if that is correct, that is right for that business. In healthcare, it audits a patient, it does all the healthcare, but it needs a real person, doctor, to say, I'm happy with that, or I'm not happy with that output. And that's with all our jobs, our business, our sectors. There still has to be people in place to say, I made a decision at the end of the day, I decide if that's right or not.
Yeah, we can't lose control basically with AI. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But to circle back to the beginning of this conversation, where I mentioned, that 2 million businesses would be registered, startups. 2 million startups will be registered in the UAE by 2031. From your experience or background, how many do you think would remain in the UAE versus would use the UAE as the first step?
I would say it's, at the end of the day, it's personal preference, right? It's up to the founders who started the startup. In my opinion, if I were to create a startup, I would personally stay here. There are a few reasons for that. I mean, one, the UAE is known for being tax-free. So that definitely plays a very big part. And then two, you can access, I think it's about 60% of the world's population in 6 hours or less via flight from the UAE. And so if you're really trying to start a startup here, or if you have started a company here and you're trying to go global, you want to work across all the different continents, you want to work in North America and Africa and Europe, etc. I mean, it would honestly just make the most sense because you're in a very central location and you can fly to wherever you need it to be. With that being said, there's also just like I mentioned, the competition idea here. And so it would encourage you as a startup, as a founder, to continue bettering yourself. So at the end of the day, it is up to each individual founder, but me personally, I would definitely stay here.
Good to know.
I mean, how many stories we heard? I came here for 5 months and now it's been, 10 years and I'm still here. It's a safe country. You have a good infrastructure, safe for kids. I think people will stay definitely.
It's one place we don't hear of anymore is Silicon Valley. I believe Dubai is just well and truly overtook that just because the opportunity. It's become the central growth hub of the world. More and more business coming here. Tech is thriving here. And talent, everybody's coming here. So for an investor or a startup, you will never have a better opportunity than to start a business here.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Okay, guys, so as we approach, of course, the end of 2025, I would like to know from each of you, what is a core memory or a special thing that you're taking from 2025, business related?
Well, for us, we are a boutique animation studio, right? And UAE is truly a land of opportunity. Let me give you an example. About 2 weeks ago, we received a message through our website saying that we have an interactive screen and would like to do some animation content. And since you are as a founder of a small company, right, you do everything. You even answer the emails through the website. I got in touch with the client. It was a 5-star hotel with a very high-end interactive screen, and we are creating for them an immersive Japanese art experience. For us,
Nice.
it was really a highlight for this year. And we are hoping to keep this client and work with them for the next year because the projects that they have are super creative.
Well, congratulations, all the best.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And would that be one of your takeaways to 2026, or what do you hope to see in next year?
I would like to see more of a project, a combination of AI and traditional animation. I think I would like to see more projects with 2D, basically skills that we excel at in our studio.
Right. What about you, Lewis?
For me, it's within e-commerce and online shopping. So by 2026, we're looking at 25% of online shoppers using AI to search. With the rise of OpenAI and Gemini, it's become almost an exciting time, but almost a risky time as well, where businesses can lose overnight, but businesses can completely change the business overnight as well. So it's something that the pressure's on, I feel, on myself to keep ahead of that and just making sure I'm looking for opportunities with the brands I'm working with. And we're in for a turbulent 2026 in terms of what's going to happen with agentic AI and what is happening with shopping online. We look at how Shopify is integrating with ChatGPT, Shopify merchants. So there's a lot happening. But one key thought on that is classic marketing. Don't forget who your customers are. Don't forget what they're looking for, and make sure that we're still delivering a great product for them and a message.
Right. Well, I think for e-commerce to win me over, they need to add a feature where I can actually touch the textile to be able to decide whether I should buy it or not. Maybe 2030.
Now you can have your avatar, right?
Oh, yeah.
Also,
But the materials. What about you, Faiza?
Yeah, so I think for me, the highlight of 2025 was actually stepping foot into the Salesforce ecosystem with an implementation partner. I would say I knew about 1% of what I was getting into, and so learned a lot throughout the year, I would say, and absolutely loved the ecosystem as a whole. I definitely have seen quite a few differences, from the previous work that I've done till now. And all I can say is that I've just grown so much, not just professionally, but personally as well. So taking that into 26, I think just continuing to hone in on the Salesforce ecosystem, see that growth and expansion. The Salesforce office here in Dubai actually opened last year, and then the Saudi office opened as well this year. And so there's massive growth going on. So it's quite exciting for not just myself, but everyone within the ecosystem, just to see how 2026 unfolds.
Well, thank you so much, guys. It was a really interesting conversation. I had so much fun. I wish you a very nice rest of 2025 and a happy 2026.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you.
for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks. As we wrap up, one thing is clear. The UAE business landscape in 2025 wasn't just busy, it was international. Across policies, markets, and everyday decisions, there was a clear push towards growth, innovation, and long-term thinking. What made today's conversation powerful was hearing the same year through different lenses, because that's how business really works in real life. Thank you to all our guests for the insights and perspectives, and to everyone listening. Keep growing, keep innovating, and keep analyzing. Until the next Suwalif, Happy New Year, and we'll see you soon.